Welcome to Stocking the Pantry with Hal. It's a series of videos, articles, and my ramblings produced in cooperation with the Point Defiance Ruston Senior Center. Our goal is to provide information and resources to help everyone to be better prepared and reduce food waste. So let's get started. Welcome to our virtual canning party today. This is about the last in the series of dehydrating that we'll be doing for a little while. We've covered dehydrating some fruits, we've covered dehydrating potatoes and rhubarb, but today we're going to do one of the most popular dehydration products for summer, and that's fruit roll-ups. They're easy, they have very few ingredients. You can get all the products that are in them organic pretty easily, the fruit, the sweeteners, all those things. And it's usually only 2 to 3 ingredients. A lot of the recipes, like in the links that we're going to give you to follow up with, have suggestions for introducing different spices. But you can do them in a dehydrator, you can also do them in the oven. So what we're starting out with today is we're primarily going to be making out of a Costco brand berry mix. So even in the middle of winter, you have access to it. And this is what some of them look like. And I tend to wrap them up in parchment paper for sanitary reasons. Also, they're easier to store, and we'll demonstrate that. And you can just unroll them and tear off a piece, and it's delicious. So taking that berry mix, and I have to admit my blender died, so I had to smash the berries together with just a potato masher, and I didn't think that was going to be very interesting. So what you're going to do is go ahead and mix together the berries, some lemon juice as in the recipe, and then whatever sweetener you're using. A lot of the sweeteners use things like xylitol if you're trying to reduce sugars. You also can use honey or agave. But we're going to go ahead, and you have your sheet if you're using the dehydrator, and you put on this non-stick sheet on top of the mesh sheet. And here is our pre-pureed berry mixture. And you just get it into the center. And you just cautiously spread it. Now, the thinner you spread it, the faster, of course, it'll dehydrate, but also sometimes it will become very brittle, and that's fine if you're intending to make what we'd refer to as a bark. And that is intended to be very dry, and you use that to powder it or break it up and use it to flavor other things. But we want these to have some texture, we want them to be a little pliable, so you're going to want it under 1/4 inch. But you just spread it out fairly evenly, and then very gently holding the sheet, tap it to help settle it. And you put the tray in, put your cover on, and it will take, depending on the humidity and the fruit that you're dehydrating, anywhere from 3 to maybe 6 or 7 hours. So now we're going to take a little break and wait for this to get done. All right, well, it's been about 5 hours, we'll say. And that's what we get. Now, the nice thing about these sheets is it's fairly easy to get it to come off. And so what we're going to do is I've pre-cut some of the parchment paper we're going to use, because I like to try and keep it wrapped up pretty well so that it stays sterile. Well, not sterile, but a little more sanitary. So you can do it a couple of ways, but you know, as long as I have been dehydrating stuff, I just realized that I just found out in preparing for this video that a pizza cutter works really well as compared to trying to cut it with a knife. Because while those others that we showed earlier are destined to be made into powder, these we want the flexibility, and a knife, unless it's incredibly razor sharp, will just end up basically being drug around. Now this is not the size that we'd probably cut the rest of them, but I just wanted to demonstrate if you're wanting to wrap it up to maintain a degree of sanitary, and then depending on how your origami is, you can do some kind of fancy wrap at the end. That helps to keep the air out and keep moisture out, so it stays pretty much the way it is. And we're suggesting that you store them in plastic bags, and technically you should keep them in your refrigerator. But you can also have them out overnight if like you're backpacking with them or something like that. So then, going to make this just, helps if you put it in the right direction, just about the size of the wrap. Do these get dull? Maybe they do. But now this one, we're going to do like you were going to do it for a display. And so now it won't stick to itself as much. But if I was going to be giving this away, in fact, I can do it right now. I'm going to trim off that end, and that would wrap, and then you'd fold it. But showing it the other way, we're going to unfold this puppy, pull it down a little bit, and make the display one out of it. And that helps if you fold up enough of it, enough of the paper, so that it gives you like a little core to start rolling around. Problem with this is it's going to stick to itself a little bit on some of those places. And then in this case, I didn't quite figure it out, but it would be enough that you can unroll it again. So I had promised you that it's also possible to make these without a dehydrator. And that's by using an oven. Now most ovens, it can't really get lower than like 170, at least mine doesn't. But anything between 150 and 170 will work. What you're going to do with those, though, is you're not going to use parchment paper, but you're going to use a regular cookie tray, but put some of these nice silicone sheets on it. And so this one, this is the first time I've ever used the oven for this. And this is just pear and honey. You can also add spices, but this came out of the oven just about an hour or so before we started filming, and it hadn't quite completely set up, but you can see how easy that would be. Now, the recipes usually give you an estimated time of 2 to 3 hours. This took me 5.5. But it is delicious, and it is still, you have complete control over the ingredients. And so that about sums up what we're doing today. There's on our recipe page, there's links that will take you to all kinds of additional recipes, 2 different ways to do it in the oven, this one and another, and a couple of different ways to use dehydrators. And so thank you very much for joining, and we look forward to seeing you in our next virtual canning party. Thank you for sharing this time with us. If you'd like more information about the Center for Food Preservation Arts, including more recipes, check out our website at preservefoods.blogspot.com and follow us on Facebook so you get notifications of upcoming articles, videos, and events. And we hope to see you back here for our next virtual canning party.